How's it going? This is Hoiman, and today we're taking a look at the Good Smile Company Alisa figure. So, the front of the packaging, you have a really nice window display to see the whole figure, and then I like the colour scheme of the white and red, really reminiscent of the series. And on the side you have a whole illustration of the figure, and then what's cool is that on the other side you have an illustration that the figure is based on. So it's a nice contrast between the two. And then at the top you have a little window to see the figure, then you have some legal stuff on the bottom, and in the back you have a full illustration of the figure from various poses. And then to open the figure you just lift open the top flap and then slide out the figure, and then you just open the front cover and there's the whole figure all together. So here's the figure, and for the most part I think this is an excellent sculpt of the character. There's just so much detail throughout the whole figure, and overall I just feel that this is a really accurate representation of the character. And I do actually appreciate that they didn't sexualize this character too much in terms of this figure, which I appreciate because I'm not really a huge fan of like fan service in female sort of statues. So even though her design is quite sexual anyway, I appreciate that they didn't go over the top with it. I mean, there is a little bit here and there, but at least this bit's covered up when you attach her to the sword. And because of that, she is mostly accurate to how she appears originally, so that's why I really appreciate the sculpt overall. So taking a close look at the face, as I already said, I feel this is a really accurate representation of the character. Really has that emotionless expression that she usually likes to have, and the eyes are just painted really well. And then moving on to her hair, it's sculpted really well. It's a nice matte sort of grey, silvery sort of finish, but there's like shading and stuff throughout the detail to really bring out the strands and sculpt. And then there's just so much movement and wind flowing in the hair as well. It looks really nice. Moving down to her torso, you can see all the straps and the emblem are all sculpted, and all the paintwork is very nice and clean throughout. And then moving to her suspender that goes down to her skirt. The skirt just has a lot of detail, has a lot of shading and wrinkles and folds, makes it look really realistic. And the whole piece is actually a separate piece that just cups around the figure, and all of it is a softer material as well, so that's cool. And then moving down to her arm, you can see the strap and then the gloves. The gloves have a nice glossy finish, so it really stands out. And that's the same for the god amulet as well, really well sculpted, has a nice metallic red and silver finish. And moving down to her legs, her boots have really nice glossy finish and are sculpted really well, and you can see some light hints of shading and tints as well to really bring out the details. And then all the buttons are nicely sculpted and painted as well. But that's the figure. Let's take a look at the accessories. So first she does come with her very iconic hat. Again, it's very well sculpted and there's just so much detail in the paintwork as well. Lots of shading throughout, and it's very clean for the most part, and it's even folded at the one edge. And then to attach the hat, her arm is actually removable, so you just attach the hat, and then the inside is actually sculpted to fit her hair. So you just put it on top, and then you reattach the arm, and then her hat will naturally line up with her hair and her hand as well. So it looks very seamless. She also comes with her god weapon, which in itself is just a really magnificent piece. There's just so much detail throughout this weapon. So it's all in a nice matte red finish, but you can see there's tints of oranges and darker reds throughout the whole blade. Gives it a kind of rusted look, but also a glossy finish as well. And then the gunmetal blade is nice and metallic, makes it really stand out. And then the shield part is a glossy finish from the rest of the weapon. It's got nice hints of shading and tints, makes it look really metallic and nice. And then you have the gun down here as well, again very nicely sculpted, all detailed with highlights and shades. And then it's got a glossy finish for the barrel as well. And moving on to the organic parts, you can see all the veins and origami oracles in there. And then this part is nice metallic gold as well. So it's a nice mixture of mechanic with organic material. Makes it look really iconic and nice overall. And then moving on to the handle. Again, nice hints of shades and tints. And you got the symbols in there as well. And then you got all the lines for the sculpting. And overall, it's just a really magnificent piece overall, and it's really nice and big as well, which is true to its roots. And then this is probably my main gripe with the figure, is that if you look at the whole weapon, the handle is slightly, very slightly bent downwards, and that's because of the way that the figure holds it. So to show you, first there's a peg here. So that attaches to the figure's foot here, so you can see the hole. So you just attach the weapon onto her here. And then this is what I mean with the handle. Because her hand goes past the handle, you really have to kind of force this peg into her hand here. And then that just connects like so. But because her hand is so pushed against the handle, over time it kind of starts to bend the handle a bit. So that's a bit unfortunate, but I suppose it isn't too noticeable or too much of a problem. Like, the handle is nice and strong and sturdy enough that it doesn't feel like it's going to break anytime soon. But it's just something to point out. And then finally she comes with her display base, which in itself again is a very nice piece. Rather than just a plain transparent base, it's actually old brickwork that's very reminiscent from the game. So you can see there's just so much sculpting of the rocks, and there's so much shading and detailing in the lines to really bring out the texture and sculpt. And just overall looks very nice. And then of course you have the metal peg, which is for the figure to attach to. At the bottom of her foot there's a hole, so you just line it up with the peg. And then just carefully slide it in like so. And because it's a metal peg, over time it's not really going to bend or lose its shape. So the figure is going to stay standing really strong and firm. So that's a good design, I feel. So my final thoughts are, if you're a huge fan of this character or the video game itself, then I highly recommend this figure. It's a very nice sculpt, very impressive piece when all put together. And overall, I just really like the pose of this figure. Just makes it look really dynamic and really stands out. And because of the whole dynamic pose that's attached to just by a simple peg, it makes it almost look like magic in a way that it's able to support such a large figure in such a dynamic pose. And at the time of this video going up, the figure has been out for a few years, so overall, I've seen that the price for her has gone up quite a bit since its release, but it shouldn't be too hard to track her down for a decent price. So I do recommend getting her if you're a fan of this figure, or even just nice looking statues. Overall, I feel that this is a really impressive piece. But that's my review. Thank you for watching and enjoy some pictures.